So I get people a lot that want to move to Virginia Beach or maybe Newport News or Chesapeake or Hampton, Williamsburg, but they're disappointed because of the amount of houses that they like in different cities. Well, in this video, I want to talk to you about several neighborhoods in Norfolk that I think might be good alternative options if you want to find a specific kind of house in, like, for example, Virginia Beach or Chesapeake or Hampton, Newport News. And what I want to do is find alternatives for you in each price range. So anything from the 200s up to the $1 million range. I want you to be able to find good alternatives in Norfolk so you can expand your search, expand the options you have to get the right house, because I definitely know how it feels right now to not be able to find the house that you like in a specific area. So maybe here's some pivot options you can try in Norfolk. So first, we're going to start in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. And so if you're looking, for example, in Virginia Beach and you're finding areas like Princess Anne Plaza, Aragona, Indian Lakes, Green Run, these houses that, these neighborhoods that are maybe in the 300 price range, but you can't really find what you want under 300. Well, there are some pivot options in Norfolk that might be worth checking out. One is a neighborhood called Lennox. Ever heard of Lennox? So on the map, I'm going to show you, first of all, where Norfolk is. So I'm going to zoom out. This is Norfolk on the western side of the south side of Hampton Roads, right next to Virginia Beach, this area right here. Now, Lennox is on the north side of Norfolk, right near the top, close to Bayview. If you've watched any of my videos about Norfolk, you know that I love Pinewell. And Pinewell is in the north side of Norfolk here, right here, next to the Ocean View Golf Course and right next to the Chesapeake Bay near Ocean View. But just south of there is the Ocean View Golf Course, but right below there is Lennox, right here, right off of Tidewater Drive. Now, this neighborhood, let me show you what I'm talking about. These houses are going to be mostly like 3-bedroom Cape Cod style. They're going to be built in like the 40s. They're going to be, maybe 1,300, maybe 1,000 square feet up to maybe 1,800 square feet. But these often will be, over 300,000, of course. But you'll find some real nice spots in the 275, 285, in that upper 200s price range. Even, detached garage, for example, this house right there, great example of a detached garage. Even sidewalks. If you notice that this neighborhood has sidewalks off of the main road, which I think is also a nice benefit too. So you'll have random, new construction that are more expensive, but getting a nice house in here under 300,000 is possible. As a general rule, though, the north part of Norfolk, closer to the Willoughby Spit, Ocean View area, that area has some spots that are like nice nooks in the 200 to 300 price range, or even 300 to 400 price range. And so finding the houses in this general area is a good idea, number one. But number two is finding some houses in the Lennox neighborhood just south of the Ocean View Golf Course is a great option. Now, the biggest benefit, of course, is the price. And you're also close to the Norfolk Navy base, which is, just to the west of Lennox. You're a few turns away from the entrance to the Navy base. Love that. And it's great for rental properties. So when you buy the house, if you're, for example, stationed at Norfolk Navy Base, or even going towards Hampton and Newport News, you can get on 64 West going towards the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, get to Hampton and Newport News. I know there's traffic, but it's not as bad just because you're right close to the exit closest to the tunnel in Lennox. Not the best, but it is at least a nice pivot as opposed to what you might find in Hampton for a similar price, or Newport News, going to Langley, for example, or even going up anywhere up in the Newport News, Hampton area. But in general, one of the benefits too is, and you can also go to Little Creek on the other side as well, going towards the Virginia Beach side. But one of the benefits is the rentability for the price. You can get a house in Lennox and then you can rent it, keep it for as long as you want, and it's a cheaper option. And because you're so close to the bases and close to the tunnel, you have some people in different parts of the area that might want to rent from you. So having the military base options is great for Lennox. Now, so there are some drawbacks to these houses. Number one is that they're old. They're built in the 40s mostly, and that leads to, cast iron pipes. You've got old electrical systems, old plumbing, that old stuff that just might not have been redone. And the houses that are cheapest might be the ones that might need the most updating. So if you want something that needs more updating, you might be paying more for it. However, if you can get maybe a smaller house, like a 2 or 3 bedroom, but a smaller square footage house in Lennox, and it's a nicer condition house, you can still stay under that 300 price range and be okay. But still, you have to deal with some of that older house style stuff that can be frustrating if you are looking for a house maybe in Virginia Beach or Chesapeake or somewhere else in the Hampton Roads area that might be newer. That's one of the drawbacks to an area like Lennox. Number 2 is it's still going to be traffic. So you're right next to Tidewater Drive, which is convenient to get out, but it's a very busy road. So that can lead to traffic going up to the tunnel. You've got the interstates. You got a lot of construction, this kind of hodgepodge construction around the Ocean View, Interstate 64 area. So it feels a bit crowded in this area. So that's another drawback. You just don't really feel like you got a bunch of space. So if you want space, this might not be the best option, but how many options do you have under 300 period to get space? It's kind of be hard to find that to be close to all the stuff you want to be close to. Another drawback is that with some of these houses that might be rentals to begin with, they might not have been maintained very well. So if you get a cheaper one, just know that you might be finding more surprise stuff to tackle once you get the house. So these that are rentals might not be maintained as well. You might not also get big lots here too. Like I showed you the aerial view, you'll see, I mean, they're very postage stamp style, like, 0.2, maybe less than that size lots. You might find some that are bigger than that, but you're not going to come here for the big lots per se. But will find sometimes a sneaky detached garage. So just because you don't have a big lot doesn't mean that they might not have built a garage in the back. So that can be a surprise. So a cheaper house with a garage could be a good option in Lennox too. I want to bounce around in price ranges a little bit, but for now, let's go to the $300,000 and $400,000 price range. If you're looking, for example, in Virginia Beach, and you're maybe in a place even like, again, Indian Lakes or Salem Lakes or Rosemont Forest or places like that, or even going into Chesapeake in a spot like even in South Norfolk, and you're not really feeling what you can find in Chesapeake over near like Norfolk Highlands. And I'm throwing out neighborhoods, but if you have questions, you can ask me. Like if you're looking in that price range, but you're looking in that $300,000 to $400,000 price range, one spot in Norfolk that I think is really sneaky and I like a lot for the price. If you're going down in the south part of Norfolk, in the southeastern corner, closer to Virginia Beach, you're over into the area near Costco. Just south of there is a neighborhood called River Forest Shores. Where is River Forest Shores? Well, I'll show you on the map where River Forest Shores is. So you see right here, you got Route 13, which is Military Highway, Interstate 264, Interstate 64. So you already know that it's a very convenient access point to military bases, to shopping, to other businesses. And Virginia Beach is literally right next to 64. Like this is the line right here for Virginia Beach in Norfolk, Kempsville Road, Newtown Road, right here. So just west of there is this neighborhood right here, River Forest Shores right here. Now, one of the things I like to find in places in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk, Hampton, Newport News, anywhere in Hampton Roads is cheap water access, cheap waterfront. If I can get that, that is something that holds its value. People always want to have affordable or as cheap as possible water access. River Forest Shores on the coast has that. So these streets right here off of McGinnis is where you find the water access of the Elizabeth River that takes you all the way from the river, eventually all the way out to mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. So you can get a lot of places from River Forest Shores on the water. But off the water, you'll find houses in the 3 to 4 bedroom size, 1,400 square foot up to 2,000, 2,500 square feet. But in the, I'd say the 15 to 2,200 square foot, you'll find the most in this $300,000 to $400,000 price range. But being in an area like this that has other larger houses in there, water access houses, you can find in here and being close to it, I think brings some demand. And also because of where it is, you don't really find yourself going back here unless you live in the neighborhoods. It's just a cul-de-sac. It's a peninsula. So one of my favorite parts about being in River Forest Shores, other than just the convenience to the rest of the Hampton Roads area, you can see here, it's connected to a lot of stuff. You're close to Costco. You are like 3 turns and you're hitting Costco right here off of Poplar Hall Drive right here. That's Costco. I mean, you're around the corner. These houses are mostly built, in the 50s, the 60s. You'll find some a little bit newer than that, but the prices are going to be anywhere from the 300 price range, low 300s, up into the 5s, 6s and up, because some of these bigger ones on the water are going to be higher in that price range. But so just because I'm talking about this neighborhood does not mean that every house in the neighborhood is going to be $300,000 to $400,000. It's going to be, the idea is trying to find the best house for the money. And this is is one of the areas I do like for the price. But if you do want to spend more and get in the 5s and 6s, you can get a nice house on the water in River Forest Shores and save some money as opposed to going over into Virginia Beach. Same kind of thing here also too, though. You've got some sidewalks, you've got very modest style houses, you got some wood nature kind of feels in some parts of the neighborhood, and a lot of ranches. So if you do want that 1-story living, you have some options there too. You get the 2-story, you get multiple types of options. You get not a bunch of just cookie cutter, which that's one of the reasons why I like a lot of the older neighborhoods, is because you don't really feel like you're in a cookie cutter neighborhood. That's kind of classic for the houses built in these 50s and 60s, maybe even 70s time periods. You can even see, kind of zooming out, you can see the water right out off of here. And so again, some have docks, some don't, but it's some of the cheapest water access that you'll find anywhere in Hampton Roads is in River Forest Shores. Now, there are some drawbacks to living in River Forest Shores. Number one is going to be that if you're on Selger Drive, so right here, just as right off of River Forest Shores, there are some new like storage facilities, apartments that are built on Selger Drive. It's more of a commercial, kind of an industrial part of town off of Curlew, off of Selger. So it feels different. You can see all these, like the moving company there. You got just commercial buildings all through here. So if you come into your neighborhood, you're driving through this kind of old part of town. It doesn't feel like a neighborhood. So it doesn't really feel like a neighborhood until you get into the neighborhood. And some more traffic has, I think, increased because of the apartment complexes that have been built right off of Selger. So that can be frustrating. Number two is that you're around other neighborhoods that just aren't priced as high. Some of them don't feel as nice to me compared to River Forest Shores. Now let's go straight to the $700 and up $1 million range. If you're looking in Virginia Beach, and let's just say you're looking in Great Neck, maybe you're looking in Little Neck, you're like, I don't really know what I want. I don't even know really if I can find what I'm looking for in Great Neck or Little Neck. I want something with character, but I just don't really find what I'm looking for in Virginia Beach. Chesapeake, finding nothing. Maybe going into Hampton, Newport News, even going over to Hydenwood and Riverside, and that really isn't really feeling it. Well, to me, one of the best pivots, if you want a neighborhood with character in Hampton Roads, period, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg, Suffolk, in the $700 to $1 million price range is Ghent. Ghent is, to me, unlike any other neighborhood in all of Hampton Roads. And the reason is because it is a combination of vintage houses built like colonial style houses, craftsman in some cases, Victorian, different types of classic old style houses in neighborhoods that are full of trees. You've got sidewalks, you've got real nice porches. It's a different vibe in Ghent. It's walkable to a bunch of restaurants, walkable to Colley Avenue, which is some great restaurants and coffee shops on Colley. Also Colonial Avenue on the other side over here. Cafe Stella is fantastic. Colley has Strawberry Fields, which my wife and I like going there quite a bit. Great smoothies. Town Center Cold Press, which started in Town Center in Virginia Beach. They have a branch over here. Na Chef, which I used to go to all the time in my 20s, which is a little Middle Eastern restaurant right here. So then as you come out of that kind of those main streets, Colonial and Colley, you can come in here and you're walking down the street. And again, these houses, while they're close to each other, there's some big ones. I mean, you go anywhere from 1,500 square feet to monstrosities of like 3, 4, and 5,000 and up square feet. And you'll find some in here that are under 6, under 7. But a lot of these are going to be maybe 650, 750, 850 and up. And some of the largest ones will be over $1 million. And then as you go over towards the Ghent Square area, you'll find other types of houses over there that are in similar price ranges as well. Some of these off of Stockley Gardens, for example, some real big houses, 3,000, 4,000 square feet. You're going to be in the 7, 8, $1 million price range in a neighborhood like this, in a spot like this in Ghent. You've got green space, plenty of green space for dogs. So just because you have a small yard doesn't mean you can't get access to plenty of open space near you. So Ghent has plenty of culture, plenty of nightlife. You're close to downtown Norfolk. I used to live in Ghent, and I would walk down to downtown Norfolk and go do something in downtown Norfolk. It's only to me, it was about 12 minutes. Botetourt Gardens, going down towards the Chrysler Museum of Art, which is just around the corner from right next to the Hague, which is part of Ghent also. Some unique style houses in here in the Hague And you got some flood insurance over here. We'll talk about that in a second. But plenty, again, same idea. Huge houses in The Hague. You'll find some that are row houses too. So you got a big mixture. You're close to the water, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of that here in a second. But you see the type of feel you get as you're driving through here. Unlike anything else you'll find in Hampton Roads, period. Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, you'll find nothing like what you'll find in Ghent. But you'll pay for it. 700 million is very normal, and you'll find them over that in some cases too. But it's great. It's very, very worth it if you love the feel and the vibe of a walkable, old, classic, historic community. There are some spots that need some flood insurance. That's one drawback, and can be spotty. But check, your flood zone maps when you look for a house. Definitely do some research there. Just make sure you know what a flood zone you're in. And that's number one. Number two is, again, old houses. You're going to find some surprises. Be prepared for that. When you're buying an old house, just don't think when you see all these nice renovated houses with the new kitchen, new bathroom, that does not mean that the whole house is a brand new house. It's still 1924. You know what I mean? So be prepared. Be mindful of how the crawl spaces are. Be mindful of, even like the zoning might be kind of funky. Things like slate roofs, which sounds great. They last a long time until you need to do maintenance on them or replace them. It can be very, very expensive. And the traffic too. So, it's great to be in Ghent. Once you leave Ghent or leave the bottom corner of Norfolk, just getting out can be frustrating, especially during rush hour. So getting out on the interstate systems, you'll find some times where it might take you only 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get from Ghent over to the closer into Virginia Beach. There'll be some times where it's going to take you 40 minutes. So be prepared for that also. Speaking of Ghent though, if you're in the 500 to 600 price range, we're going to stay on the Ghent subject for a second. And if you want, say you're looking in Virginia Beach, and a great example is a place like Larkspur, a place like Bellamy Manor, a place even like Kings Grant in Little Neck, over in the central part of Virginia Beach, or even like in Kempsville, or if you're looking maybe in Chesapeake, in the south part of Chesapeake. If you don't find what you want in the 500 to 600 price range, a place that I think you could check in Norfolk that is in that same price range, but has some history, has that same kind of feel that I've just even mentioned in Ghent, but maybe a little bit cheaper version, is West Ghent. On the west side of Hampton Boulevard, which is the kind of the line of demarcation between Ghent and West Ghent. On the east side of Hampton Boulevard is Ghent. On the west side is West Ghent right here. Now, it's kind of in this nook in this corner, right? But West Ghent has a lot of similar types of houses that you'll find in a place like Ghent. A little bit more closer together, but you'll find more, maybe more ranches, get some more, some traditional two-story in West Ghent. But these houses, you'll see a lot of them in the 2,000, 3,000 square foot range. You'll see them sometimes a little bit less than that, which is why you can stay a little bit less in price too. You get some green space though in West Ghent, just like I'm showing you here on the map. But you also get some houses in the 7s and the 8s and up in West Ghent. So it definitely runs the gamut, but you'll have a better chance of getting a better house. Look at that. Look at this Graydon Avenue right here. You'll get a better chance of finding more of what you want in West Ghent for the same price that you might pay in Ghent, which is why I do like what you can find in West Ghent if you're willing to tolerate the drawbacks. Now, another thing about being in West Ghent is, I told you about Ghent where you have all the stuff that's like Colley Avenue, Colonial Avenue, 21st Street, all the restaurants and shops. Well, West Ghent has its own little nook similar to that, at least for mostly restaurants. So on the very bottom corner of West Ghent is some of the best combinations of restaurants there are. For my bachelor party when I got married, one of the places we went to is the Birch, which is right off West Olney. So one of the best places to get a beer in, I don't know, maybe the world, which is, by the way, somebody did rank it as one of the top 10 places to get a beer in the world. Awesome location on West Olney, which is in West Ghent. So there it is right there, small little place. So what we did was we sat right here. We don't have any tables out right now, but we had tables right here. We sat there, went to the bakehouse next door and got pizza and walked it over and put it right there. Other restaurants nearby, Torch, Good outdoor lawn game stuff there too. Like in that little field, you can play maybe some cornhole, that kind of a thing out of Torch. Torch is right next across the street. A couple of breweries too, Benchtop and Smartmouth, which are over in this corner too. So just because you're in West Ghent doesn't mean you don't have any access to anything on the same side of West Ghent as the rest of Ghent, but you just don't have as much. So I think one of the reasons why it's a little bit cheaper is because it's harder to get to. It's a little more frustrating because you can't get as easy access to all the shopping in Colley Avenue, Colonial Avenue, those big main roads, 21st Street. We have a bunch of restaurants. It's not as close to that. So I think that can be a drawback. It's also right next to Hampton Boulevard. So getting out of the neighborhood means you have to go across Hampton Boulevard or on Hampton Boulevard. Whereas with Ghent, you may not have to do that. That's frustrating because Hampton Boulevard backs up all the time. Hampton Boulevard is super busy, and it takes you can go through the tunnel towards Portsmouth, right off of Hampton Boulevard, take you up towards the north part of Norfolk. It is a big major road, and it's right next to West Ghent. So being on the eastern side or the other side where Ghent is, on that side of Hampton Boulevard, to me, way better than being on the western side. So now we're going to stay on the west side of Norfolk in the $400,000 to $500,000 price range. And if you're looking in a place, again, maybe like Kempsville, maybe like even Ocean Lakes, $400,000 to $500,000 price range in the east side of Virginia Beach. Maybe you're looking for a house maybe like in Thalia, stay in the $400,000 to $500,000 price range. Or going into Chesapeake, getting back to the south part of Chesapeake, or back into the west side of Newport News in that $400,000 to $500,000 price range. Can't really find what you're looking for. Well, if you're okay with the ages of the houses, Larchmont is a neighborhood that, for what you pay, really nice neighborhood. For neighborhood feel, like just having the vibe of what you get in Larchmont, like the trees, it's quiet, even maybe a little bit bigger houses than what you might find in a place like Ghent in some cases. I'm a big fan of what you find in Larchmont. Larchmont has two different sides. There's Larchmont, and which you also would call Edgewater, which is, you got this whole section here is what you call Larchmont / Edgewater. Now you'll find that it's more, to me, more of like almost like a magazine style neighborhood where you got, the sidewalks, the trees. It's very well kept in a lot of places. You can see here, Westmoreland Avenue is a great example of that. But you have the little median in the middle. It's got its own kind of unique vibe that is also different. It's hard to replicate this compared to a place like Ghent. There's usually more yard space in a place like Larchmont. A little bit newer, I'd say, than a place like Ghent also. So these are mostly built, you'll see some in the 30s and 40s, but you'll starting to see them more in the 50s. You'll see some newer houses also. Most of these are still going to be in the 30s and 40s. And the sizes are going to range from anything from 1,500 square feet, 1,400 square feet to 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000 and up. Again, same idea. If you're on the water, you're paying a lot more for it. These are well over $1 million on the water. So don't get any ideas. All these with the docks, these are well over $1 million in most cases. But off the water, again, you'll find some under 4. You'll find as you get closer down towards ODU, you'll find a few of these spots closer down here. Great for rentals, by the way, but also, $350, $450 in some cases. Now, you get some smaller houses too, and often some older ones. As you get cheaper, they're older. I say older, they may not have been maintained as well. So I'd say that would be a drawback to a part of Larchmont, is that, if you want to stay in the lower price range in Larchmont, you may have to deal with more work to do to the house. So, but what I do like to find in a place in the $400 to $500 price range is, where can I find a house that is surrounded by other houses that are more expensive? And it's hard to do that in areas, even like in Chesapeake or Virginia Beach. You'll find a lot of houses in similar price ranges, right? But here in Larchmont, you can be near houses that are $6, $8, $1 million in the same neighborhood. And then if you love football, the best football live experience, tailgate experience, is the Old Dominion Monarchs, which is a Division I football team. They do tailgating outside right here. And this is kind of an up and coming, kind of newer vibe here for football in Hampton Roads. This is the best that there is, I think, especially even though Michael Vick just became the coach of Norfolk State. But this is kind of the staple football experience in Norfolk and really in Hampton Roads. But so being close to that's kind of fun. And then Larchmont Elementary School, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people that have taken their kids to Larchmont Elementary School right here. Same right in the same neighborhood. So while you hear a lot of talk about Norfolk schools, you might be able to do elementary school here and love it. Not to mention, see Jamestown Crescent right here? You can take Jamestown all the way down towards Collie. I mentioned Collie in the Ghent part of the video. Well, if you're on Jamestown Crescent and go across the bridge, it turns into Collie. You got some nice restaurants on the top part of here too. You got Elation Brewing, real good pizza actually in Elation Brewing. Lolly's, the ice cream there is fantastic. Going further south from there, you've got Hank's Filling Station, fun place for like outdoor barbecue stuff. And then you got Kogan's right next to that. Kogan's Pizza. I like Kogan's Pizza. You're also close to water, so on the east side as well. So two different vibes. You have access down to Ghent on the Jamestown Crescent side. And you also have access to the water and ODU on the western side of Larchmont too, close to the Old Dominion, the football stadium on that side. So benefit or maybe drawback depending on how busy you are concerned about being close to the football, on those weekend days. But awesome tree-lined streets. I think you can get for the right house in the $400 to $500 price range. You can get in an area that feels like you should have paid more compared to maybe you can get that same kind of vibe that you may have wanted to pay $500 or $550 for in a place like Virginia Beach or Newport News. So I think this is a great option for $400,000 to $500,000. Now the drawbacks, number one, are going to be very careful of spots that need flood insurance. This area, look up Larchmont flooding. There are some spots that do have some issues right close to the water near close to Hampton Boulevard, but you'll see some of these cove areas over here. They're going to require some flood insurance and a good amount of it. And so that would bother me a lot. Number two is, again, older houses. Just be prepared for that old house stuff like I mentioned in other neighborhoods. And from where Larchmont is, it's just far enough away from everything to feel like you're far away from everything. However, you have two ways to get to the neighborhood. So from Hampton Boulevard on the north side, you can go take Terminal Boulevard here and towards 564 and 64. You can do that if you're coming from anywhere around Norfolk and Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, or Hampton, Newport News. Or you can go the other way, the south side, and go around this way up towards Larchmont too, up Hampton Boulevard as well. So multiple ways, but you see where it is. It's kind of in the corner from everything too. So you don't really feel like you have easy, quick access to your house. So I feel like if it were me, I would feel tempted just to stay more at my house. The problem is that there aren't as many shopping options near Larchmont either. And so you might find yourself driving more than you want just to get to like a Harris Teeter that's in Ghent is it's going to take you like 12 minutes probably to get into this part of there's Harris Teeter right here. There's a fresh market in there too, but that's in Ghent. And so there are other grocery stores. It's not like barren, but it's not super popular. There's a Harris Teeter over here. Well, you see it right there. That's going to be about 8-9 minutes also. So not super frustrating, but just aren't too many options. Now, close access to Norfolk Navy Base, you're up Hampton Boulevard and you're right there. So that's a benefit too. So anyway, I think for $400,000 to $500,000, Larchmont, if you find the right house, can be amazing for a spot to get in an area that has higher valued houses around it. Now, next it might be a surprise in the $600,000 to $700,000 price range. So let's say you're over in Virginia Beach and you're like, gosh, not really feeling it in Little Neck, right? Can't really find the right house. I don't really want Kings Grant. Maybe I'm in Great Neck. I don't really want a Great Neck Meadows. I don't want, Wolf's Near Plantation. I don't want to be in the South Virginia Beach area with all those stoplights and boredom. So where do I want to go to that's an up and coming place that is booming now as it is? It still has some spots that are left to grow, but it can be a good option for the money if you want water access or if you want close to water access is East Ocean View. You're like, Sam, I've heard about Ocean View. That place is a mess. Well, okay. There are some spots in Ocean View that are still needing to be developed. I will say that in the last 15 to 20 years, I think Ocean View may have gone through the most changes anywhere in Virginia Beach, in Norfolk, in Chesapeake, almost anywhere, in Hampton Roads, and has increased the most in value as a result in the last 15, 20 years. Now, what you'll find is that you see Ocean View is a long stretch. So it's not east. I say East Ocean View, but Ocean View kind of stretches all the way towards, this is Willoughby Spit over here. This is all beachfront. And when someone says they live in Ocean View, they could be talking about East Ocean View. They could be talking about West Ocean View or just Ocean View. They could be talking about a lot. Now, if you're on the water, I reiterate, these houses on the water are going to be amazing views, number one. They're going to be over $1 million. I mean, you might find some that sneak under 8, under 9, but most of them are going to be at least 7 to 8. But if you come off of the water, you can get access to those same beach spots, but live off the water. Especially on the other side of East Ocean View Avenue, you'll find houses in here that are new construction in these 6s and 7s. You might find some now in the 7s. So the whole story about Ocean View is that it's an old, like you see these old houses. Like there's this old Cape Cons. Sometimes they're run down. Sometimes they're old office buildings. That was kind of the way Ocean View was for a long time. Well, over time, a house would get knocked down. A lot would have a new house built on it. Old apartments would be revitalized. Areas that were totally vacant, areas that were, prime spots near water got totally turned upside down. For example, East Beach on the far east side on Ocean View Beach. These are now in the 7 million, 1.5 and up range in East Beach. But all that construction just was a wave all through Ocean View. And so you'll find a mixed bag of old houses, Cape Cod style houses, and brand new construction, 3 or 4 in a row, maybe one individual house at a time, a big strip along one side of a street. And then as you find over the last 10, 15, 20 years, these individual spots ended up turning into what became more of a, almost like a tipping point of more newer houses that were being developed. And so the most crucial spot where the most new construction has happened in the most concentrated area to me has been East Ocean View, because you go across the street from East Beach, you'll find some houses like the Turn, brand new construction in the last 2 or 3 years here, right off of Shore Drive. But you'll find strips of houses. Let me just drop a pin. Like let's just say 18th Bay right here. Let's just see what's happening here. So you'll find, there you go, 2 newer houses right there. Old house. Then you got newer construction. New. That's kind of how Ocean View, especially the East Ocean View side, is. So you can see, let's do the overhead, but kind of zoom around here. You'll see you got the new construction at the Turn over here, all the new stuff over on that one side. And then you see individual houses, new construction, old. There's a vacant lot that is probably ripe for construction. There's a couple right over here. So go over here, you got more. Let's zoom in on 16th. This is a great example. Look at those. There you go, right there. New, old, right? New. So what you get in Ocean View, you might be like, well, I don't know if I want to live next to an old house. I understand that. If you want a beach access this close, and you have a chance in the 600 and 700 price range, you take it. I mean, for the same type of beach access in Virginia Beach, it's going to be for the same size house, 800 and up in most cases. So it's all contextualized, right? But I think for what you get in Ocean View and the newness that's being developed all through Ocean View and even going into the central part, you'll find some spots that don't feel as nice. And that's part of what keeps keeping the prices still lower. But it's going to keep coming, guys. This is still a coming area. I'm a big fan of Ocean View and what's there. So you can still find some bargains in like the $300-400 price range around Ocean View, especially as you come off of Ocean View, the further you go away. And the thing, look, you're off of Ocean View. Well, you can get to Little Creek on one side of Shore Drive, which is where the street turns into, and then you're also close to the Norfolk Navy base on this side, and you're close to the 64, the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, which takes you to Langley if you're stationed at Langley Air Force Base, or through Hampton, Newport News, Fort Eustis. This access to not just the south side of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Chesapeake, but also up into Hampton, Newport News is pretty nice. But the beach access is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what you want. If you want the $600-700 price range, you can get some good beach access in a newer house, or even new house. Talking new house in some parts of Ocean View. Now, some of the brand new houses in Ocean View might be more on the central or western side for the same price in the 6s and 7s. But if you want to stretch it a little bit, you can find plenty of options in the 7 to 8, very close to the beach. Huge fan of that. It's hard to find that anywhere in Hampton Roads, not just Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk, but anywhere. Now, there are some drawbacks here. Number one is flood insurance. Like I mentioned in Larchmont, it can be pretty big in parts of Ocean View, especially near Little Creek. So just be careful. Check your flood maps. Check before you start going under contract with a house. Make sure that if there's flood insurance, get a quote. Maybe get an elevation certificate, which shows you, where the actual house is in relation to sea level, and more details on top of that help maybe potentially reduce your flood insurance if you do get a house that needs flood insurance. So check that. Make sure you get an elevation certificate if you buy a house that needs flood insurance, especially in Ocean View. So that's number one. Number two is, again, you've got some hit and miss with new construction, old, new, old. That might not be your cup of tea. If you don't like that type of thing, this might not be the best option for you too. You might want to go back to Virginia Beach or Chesapeake, somewhere for the 650 range. You're not going to have that mixed bag of types of houses. You're going to get pretty much kind of similar in those areas, even Newport News in some cases. But Ocean View, it's going to be a mixed bag of old, new apartments. So if you have any other questions about relocating to Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Newport News, Suffolk, Hampton, Williamsburg, Portsmouth, let me know. It's what I do. I'm a real estate agent and I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, I have my contact information in the description. You can call me, you can email me, you can text me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And if you want to learn more about living in the Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk through Williamsburg area, I have a video here that gives more detail about the area to help give you more context before you start making decisions about relocating to or where to relocate to the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg area. So click here for the next video and I'll see you there.